What's up, y'all? It's me, Brian Keith, and I'm back with another video. And today we'll be talking about the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 14, part 2 of the reunion. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you all for the support. Please drop down a comment and let me know what you guys think of the episode. Let's get into the video.
Let me check my shit real quick. Hotter than the fire coming out my flaming lips. You wanna play with me? You can't play in me. On the playground, bitch, you can't play with me. Got it, want it, securing the bag.
Alright, so we're just gonna start off with like Marlo's continuation of her sob story.
All of my shoes to live on the streets and going to people's houses and sleeping on mattresses on the floor. And then they want to call me whores and prostitutes, but can't bring you one.
One thing about Marlo is that she really was laying it on thick, and I don't think Kenya was really buying it.
That's not true.
And like when Marlo was doing her little crying and stuff, she was like, Kenya was like, "Can I get a tissue?" And it was like, "You feel it? You feel moved?" She's like, "No, my nose is cold." I'm like, "Girl, shade." So Marlo basically talks about the break-in, and Kenya doesn't believe, and she tweeted out like, you know, I wish she would have let somebody know, or the information, this is fake news. Well, I kind of disagree. I don't think that it was fake news. I feel like this really did happen. I feel like it's kind of insensitive for Kenya to even say that tweet. When I saw the tweet, I thought it was out of pocket. Like, girl, where is this even coming from? Like, she been broken into, and if she doesn't give you information right away, I mean, I wouldn't know how I'll feel getting broken into. I'll probably be over here just like paranoid the whole time. But when she explained it's like, hey, you know, Kandi and Drew got broken into as well. Maybe they're going down the list of people in the cast. We don't know, but that information would have been helpful so we all can be set on ready. So I got that once she explained it. So Marlo kicks the boys out, and basically like she talks about the negative backlash that she got from social media. Like, it's like, you went through this growing up, and we heard this all throughout part 1 about how she felt abandoned and this, that, and the third. And Andy was just like, so how do you think that will make the boys feel if you went through that yourself?
It doesn't land to me that then you could be doing to the boys what you went through, which I know would be the...
So she's basically talking about, well, you know, and I got it. Like, I did not agree with her kicking them out at first, but then the more I listened to it, the more I was just like, okay, you know, if something happened, Lord forbid, to like one of my sisters and her kids had to come with me, I mean, I would take up the responsibility, because I mean, I feel like who wouldn't? But I ain't gonna hold you. I'm single, raised and mingle, and having 2 kids that ain't mine, and now I'm inheriting these kids. It would be stressful as fuck. So putting myself in her shoes, it would be very much like, oh, and they teenagers too, so it's just like they're going through hormones, going through all this stuff. So it's like you were never used to taking care of anybody else but yourself, and now you have to take care of these 2 young adults, like trying to basically raise them up into be like, you know, law-abiding citizens. So I'm just like, I felt her on that, and I'm just like, okay, cool. I gave her that credit. Kandi and Kenya basically questions Marlo, like I said, about kicking the boys out, and Andy really is laying it on thick, and he's like, well, you know,
really moves me. Really moving.
I'm so moved. I've been so moved by everything.
You said that was his favorite thing to say. I'm just like, Andy, we get it. Like, I can show empathy to Marlo. I know a lot of people in the comments have been
Whacking Marlo.
and do not like Marlo, but I can show her empathy, and you know, I like to see what happens next season. I mean, we saw that all the ladies from season 14 will be coming back for season 15, and maybe Portia's coming back, so we'll see what happens with that. They talk about how production is shady. Production was hella shady, and I feel like production was really shady with Drew and really shady with Kandi. Those 2, they really, every time they said something, it just, something came back up. I'm just like, damn. Drew and Ralph. Drew talks about like, you know, I never thought of Ralph to be a gaslighter. I'm just
Like, girl.
Ralph in the beginning of the season was too much. Like, that whole storyline was just triggering. It's just, I did not like it at all. And for Drew just to seem so dense and so meek, and like I didn't like it at all. And just, they're basically trying to go through their relationship and how he left her there. I'm talking about, oh, you deserve a kid's meal, not this dinner. I'm doing so much for you. Woo. And like I said in the beginning, the shit seemed fake as fuck. And that's why I skipped a couple episodes in the beginning, because it's just like, I do not want to be talking about Drew and Ralph this whole entire time. I have no time for it. The shit already seems like they're over here reading lines, rehearsed. So I don't know with the situation. All I know is Ralph seemed fucked up and Drew seemed dumb. That's just what I have so far. I like Drew this season. Like after the first couple episodes, I started liking Drew. I'm like, yeah, you know, Drew actually really warming up to me. So, you know, I don't mind Drew. Ralph, on the other hand, child, maybe you're gonna have to take me some more time because I'm over it. So Andy asked Sheree about the how did she felt about the jokes about the summer, spring, September, and she's basically like, well, you know, it hurt, but you know, jokes on them because I got my stuff out.
Girl, shut the fuck up. You thought you ate that?
Joke ain't on nobody but you, Sheree.
At the end of the day, for you to sit up on that stage and be like, yeah, you know, I got all my stuff outside. I don't mind the jokes. I don't know. Girl, like you like low quality. You're over here upcharging people, and I'm just like, if you wanted to put out a quality line, I feel like sometimes I feel like if people want to create these businesses, which is fine, please take a class, a business class, a class on how to run a business, how to manage a business, how to be professional, how to micromanage, how to budget. Like there's so many things that a lot of people need to learn before they want to just kick off and create a business, where it's just like you can't even pay people, but you want to start a business. I don't know, Sheree just seemed like a whole entire fraud. She has been a flop this whole time. So at the end of the day, I ain't got time for Sheree. So we see Kenya, how she's like basically in her groove this season, and basically how she's like doing like, so how she transformed from like previous seasons. She's not the villain anymore. And I feel like they changed the narrative with Kenya. I feel like Kenya has always been like very like fun loving, and like, cause like I've never been a Kenya fan like that by any means. Kenya was never my favorite. I was not really, I was always on like either Nene side or Portia side, or definitely Phaedra side. So Kenya was never my favorite. But this season really, and last season a little bit, I've come to like Kenya, and she's like, you know, some of the stuff she actually says makes sense. And I'm just like, okay, you know, seeing her, she talks about her dancing and how she has her love for dancing, and she was dancing for her grandmother, and you know, she didn't win Dancing with the Stars, but I mean, that was a good side just to see of her. Drew and Kenya, they talk about their the love that they have for their new friendship. They're so happy they're in a good place.
Have another chance. Yeah. I wanted to extend that, you know, opportunity for us, because you were just in a whole different, it was like this light of aura around you.
I thank you for that.
And I just find it funny because I'm like, okay, what if Portia come back, then what? Because we know Drew is really good friends with Portia, so then what? Because Drew, I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and say Drew gives me fake. So I can see Drew doing the switch up. And being that Sonya's coming back, I can see Sonya and Kenya really trying to create a bond. Or Sonya's going to take the route of trying to blow Kenya Reigns out. Like, I can see it could either be a good friendship, or they're going to just like butt heads. Sonya and Kenya, they talk about the couples comment, and I just love the way that Sonya knows how to articulate herself.
Yeah, man. But I do know when it was Kenya's trip, Candy's trip, and we all came with our husbands, you said, dang, I wish I know I'd have brought a +1. Like, you had a +1 that you could have brought. You know what I mean?
And it doesn't leave any room for Kenya to be shady or like, you know, cut her off. Because when Sonya says what she says, really Kenya doesn't have nothing really to say, no rebuttal. So I'm just like, I love the fact that she can really articulate herself very well, and it comes across like so even keeled, and I like that. I think with the whole situation about, I feel like I thought Sonya was doing it on purpose, because we all know that Kenya's going through what she's going through. So I thought Sonya was doing it on purpose, but the way she explained it, I'm like, okay, cool, fine. Kenya hanging up on Sonya, like I said before, like that shit was shady as fuck, and I don't know how Sonya didn't clock her for that. Like when they were in Jamaica, they'll talk about, oh, what have I done? Like, you hung up on this girl twice, you told her to get out your face, you've been little girling her this whole time. That's one thing I don't like about Kenya. Kenya act like Kenya's the type of person where it's like, I can do it to you, but you can't do it to me. And that's not, because Kenya basically made the remark, like, you know, if I hung up on my grandmother would drive and try to beat my ass. So Andy was like,
If Sonya came over and beat your ass.
Exactly. Andy from New York wants to know, what if Sonya came and whipped your ass?
I mean, Andy asked Sheree, what did you mean about Sonya needs to handle Kenya? And basically it's like, Kenya could be a lot. I've noticed this a lot, and this is what I tell a lot of people, especially with me being a manager. People are going to do to you what you allow them to do. If you have respect for yourself and you stand up for what you believe in, people tend to not challenge. I mean, you know, two strong-minded people go up papers regardless. But it's like people aren't going to challenge someone's word if you are very firm in how you believe. But if they see any type of weakness, any type of pressure point they can get through, they're going to try you. And a lot of people will let people try them because people think that, oh, you know, I'm tough, I could do this, I could fight, I could da-da-da. So they feel like they can just do whatever, walk into this world, and then I could just like bully people around and there'll be suffering no consequences. Like, if you run across somebody like me or somebody in my family or some of my friends, you probably get popped in your face. But we're grown, we can't do that.
Stupid.
You know, people will do stuff to you because you allow them to do it. So Sheree's basically saying, like, you know, she had to basically, you know, get into the ring with Kenya so Kenya will respect her. And Kenya, I mean, she didn't disagree. Martell called Sheree, and I'm just so over them giving him airtime. Like, we already know this is going to try to be a storyline for Sheree for next year, which is going to be so fucking irritating because the shit seems uber fake. And we already know Sheree's like, well, you know, you know, Martell, she can't get the shit out. She don't know. You could tell she do not want to date that man. Talking about, I'm single, I'm not dating anybody. It's just so fucking weird. And I just don't get the whole situation. And I just feel like it's very contrived. But we'll see next season because we know it's going to be her storyline. Okay. So we get into the Ross dinner situation, and I hear what Sonya's basically saying. She's saying, well, you know, he's defending me, he's protecting me, and it wasn't aggressive. And I don't think where it was aggressive, but I definitely felt like it wasn't his place to stand up and say anything. I mean, nobody was cussing at her, nobody was yelling at her. They were having a heated exchange, but it wasn't anything for him to stand up and say, don't come for my motherfucking wife. Like, it was more so out of left field. But aggressive, I don't think it was aggressive. But like, let's say somebody stood up and like talked like that to like my sister or my mom, my man, my close girlfriends. Like, somebody did that and I'm the only person there with them. I mean, say less, because I'm just gonna stand up. We're gonna do what we have to do. Swap it out, because you're not gonna talk to my mom, sister, close girlfriend, my man, any type of way, especially if I'm there. Like, it's not going down like that, and that's just what it is. So they talk about the whole Brooklyn's birthday, how they had those little dinner and stuff. They were just basically, you know, just chit chatting, and nobody fessed up to the suck a dick in locker room comment. I'm just like, I feel like it probably was a producer that threw it in there maybe, but I'm just like, I don't think anybody would lie, but I would like to know who said it, or wrote it, but it is what it is. They talk about how Drew was giving advice to Sonya. Sonya's first mistake was even asking Drew for advice. Like, why would you ask her for advice? Y'all weren't even cool like that from the beginning. And then when y'all had the whole drop her with Drew event, I was confused on why she was asking Ralph and Drew anything. Like, why would you want to ask? Why would you even want to get any advice from someone that you wouldn't take a critique from? Like, it's just crazy to me. Like, but basically, I don't agree with Drew's comments. Basically, she's like, well, you know, if it's your duty as your wife to give your husband a child. She doubled down on it and said, well, you know, it has to be a mutual thing. That's what she was saying. But her initial was like, it's your duty as a wife to give your husband a child. And that's was some bullshit, because I'm like, you don't have to give your husband anything. Like, it's a 50-50 down the fucking middle. Like, he don't run shit, he don't run you. And I feel like that's like this whole mindset of that you have to leave the man his legacy. The woman, she get to be in the back burner, die, and then left with nothing. She's just so face that birthed these children for this man. He was just so no, that's not how I was raised. That's not how I grew up. That's not how, like, with my sisters and my brother, that's not how we would do stuff. Like, no, like, if you marry somebody, you want to have their legacy continue just as well as ours. So it's just weird how a lot of people, and I can only talk about the black community because that's just what I'm in, but I mean, that's what we see, and the shit is halfway sickening. Make you want to throw up. We go with Marlo versus Kenya. Marlo's mouth is reckless. Like, there's no denying that. There's no disputing that. Marlo's mouth is reckless. But one thing I could say with Kenya is, like, Kenya, you hold Marlo to such regard. With, like, Marlo says some of the worst, disgusting things that can never be forgiven. Cool. That's fine. I give you that. But Kenya, you have to realize, you said shit about Nene. You said shit about Phaedra. And then we can really talk about Kim Fields. Like, when you pull Ken Fields' chair out, Ken Fields should have slapped the shit out you, and that's just a fact. I don't know how she did it, and I don't know why she didn't slap shit out of Kenya, but like, that was the ultimate disrespect. And with that whole situation, I'm thinking, like, Kenya, you got snatched up by Portia at the reunion, and you called the police on Portia, got Portia arrested. Cool, fine. But then you invade someone else's personal space and pull their chair out. So now, if she would have did anything, that would have been self-defense, because she could have said, I didn't know what else she was going to do. Cool. So when it comes to Marlo and her mouth, I'm like, yes, Marlo hit low, but we cannot act like and just excuse our behavior from the past either. But that was just my whole thing. And just like, Kenya, like, was basically trying to, Kenya was getting Marlo together now. Marlo was yelling.
You are a liar. You are a liar.
Okay.
She called her LaToya Hutchinson. I don't know if that's her real name. They showed her birth certificate. I don't know if she changed it. I mean, that ain't none of my business. Go ahead, Marlo, LaToya. I don't fucking know. Everybody was gagged though.
Is your name LaToya?
Sheree basically talks about how she actually do pay people, even though there's been plenty of examples that she doesn't pay people. So I'm just confused, because they start pulling, like, her and Drew start going at it, and they start pulling out phones, they start pulling out recordings, and I'm just like, ain't nobody got time. If Sheree and Drew don't see the common denominator is that boy Anthony, and he messy as fuck, if they can't see that he is the common denominator, then maybe they just as dumb as we think they are. So I'm just like, he's the common denominator. He's telling you one thing, he's telling you another thing, and instead of disciplining or going at him, y'all are going at each other. It doesn't make any sense, and it's just irritating. I mean, this reunion as a collective, it seems very light. There have been cute moments. It hasn't been nothing crazy, so I'm not really like over here like pressed or whatever. I mean, the reunion could have been better. It is what it is. I feel like a lot of people came very safe. Been very safe. I feel like Kenya only came for Marlo, and she's been very safe. Candy has been super quiet. Sheree has been let down. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people could have came harder, but they didn't. So it is what it is. But y'all, let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.